On January 8th, 2023, Cyclizar was banned because of Shedtail in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Fast forward 3 months later and they have finally unbanned Cyclizar. This is because Shedtail is now banned in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet OU. Shedtail is a move that is very similar to Baton Pass. The user swaps to another Pokemon, but also provides a free substitute for the recipient. This allowed for giant threats like Booster Energy Roaring Moon to come in for free and set up. Because Cyclizar was only banned because of Shedtail, which it could use multiple of per game due to its ability Regenerator, there was no reason to keep Cyclizar banned. What are your thoughts on the Shedtail ban, as well as the unbanning of Cyclizar? And how will this affect Earthworm usage in OU? Let me know down below. And let's take a closer look at this ban and unban. So like I said, Shedtail is now banned, and you can now use Cyclizar in OU. Honestly, when the Pokemon got banned, me and many others said that I think Shedtail was the problem that should be looked at. And during the months that followed after, we had SPL, the Smogon Premier League, which is a tournament go on, where we saw Shedtail pass into Espathra, which eventually led to Espathra being banned. And then we saw, as of recent, Shedtail pass into Booster Energy spam with things like Roaring Moon, Iron Valiant, and the like. So now we have the Shedtail ban. I think a lot of people agree with it specifically, and I'm sure I'll get some comments that are like, what about Rage Fist, not Annihilate? But I do want to know your thoughts down below, as I mentioned. And also, if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. I upload competitive Pokemon every single day. And also, if you're new to the channel, I have no idea what the hell you're looking at. This is Pokemon Showdown. It's free. I upload it, and you can even do battles on it without having to have the game, and also without having to EV train your Pokemon, because you can do it with this, your mouse. I just want to let people know, because you never know who's watching this video. So I'll talk about my thoughts on Cyclizar and Earthworm now that Shedtail is banned, but also let's kind of get into this. We're gonna go back and forth. Not gonna be super visually stimulating, video, but it's now banned. Basically, they did a survey recently, and there was an overwhelming support of Shedtail, feeling uncompetitive, feeling bleh for the tier, right? Like fives, like 4s and 5s for it. So that led to a council vote, and then we have these people. A lot of them are tournament players, Mind Gaming, ZavGB, and NJMP are all very new to the council. They actually recently got on, but they're tournament players who did very well in the Smogon Premier League. Obviously, you guys know Finch, Stars, another one, etc. TVP was also in SPL as well. So they were playing in the current one. So overwhelming majority of them voted ban. So it was quick ban. With our current 11 members, at least 8 out of the current members need to vote for it to be banned. Before, it wasn't Shedtail, it was just Cyclizar they were looking at. And now, obviously, that resulted in Cyclizar being unbanned. So right here, they're saying that Shedtail is a game-changing move that's very similar to Baton Pass, and it just gives you a free substitute. And it's very easy to use this. Oh, they spelled Garganical wrong. They didn't put Garganachi. Anyway, but they also spelled it wrong. Anyway, but yeah, so it's very easy to get free Shedtail turns, right? They would think, originally Cyclizar was banned because fast Shedtails and Regenerate, so it can get multiple in a game, right? That's something that has over Earthworm. Earthworm can't get multiple in a game. If it's lucky, it gets 2, right? Because usually it runs this and runs Shedtail, some max defense and special defense. There are some variations that run Rest, Sleep, Talk Shedtail, so it can get 3 potentially. Very, very, very lucky. And it usually runs Terra Ghost, because then it completely walls Great Tusk, the #1 most used Pokemon on the tier. Because of Earth Eater, you can't Earthquake it, Headlong Rush, and if I'm a Ghost type, you can't Close Combat me. So it can get free setup on that to pass teams. And originally, it was like, oh yeah, Fast Shedtail is super broken. Earthworm isn't broken, but then we saw that Slow Shedtail is freaking good too. If the Mon takes the hit, and then you get the free sub, as opposed to Shedtailing, and then the Mon gets in for free, but the substitute gets broken. So it's really crazy that this one is just as good. Not that crazy, because I think a lot of us expected it, but I'm glad that we now push towards that way. But then they talk about, you know, a whole bunch of strong threats like Iron Valiant, Roaring Moon, Iron Moth, King Gambit. King Gambit's the big one behind us, especially if it's on a balloon. And then a lot of people started to use countermeasures for this. And we saw this increase in things like Red Card Amoonguss. Red Card Amoonguss got very, very, very popular for setup, just to force them out. We've also seen Red Card on Toxapex. Red Card Amoonguss is also for Toxapex, which has started to run Assault Vest as a means of dealing... Whoops, that's Toxel. As a means of dealing with... it's very funny. It's actually offensive Assault Vest too. Like as a means of dealing with Iron Valiant and Iron Moth and things like that. And you'll get like Infestation, then your last move, Ice Beam, Terra Blast, Fighting if you're crying, and a few other options as well, which was sick tech on her part. But this thing can trap Amoonguss and actually beat it 1v1, especially because a lot of Amoonguss are now running Grass Knot to do more damage to Garganackle. So there's a lot of things that the metagame is starting to develop around, and a lot of it had to do with Shedtail itself. Though I do think that red card users with Regenerator are just good in general because they help deal with giant threats regardless. So they ended up thinking that Shedtail was way too broken, and now it's banned. I don't really want to sit here and think about like should it have been banned or not. I think that originally it should have been banned. Like that was my stance months ago when we had demons in the tier, right? We had Annihilate, we had Chi-Yu, Chi-Empao. Shoot, we had Fluttermane as well. Like when we had those demons, I think then it should have been banned, right? Just because too many Pokemon coming in for free doing it. Months later, I still think that Shedtail is the problem. It's the problem for the sweepers. I don't know if I thought it was overall broken, but I definitely think it was a problem. And then other ways to deal with Shedtail was like Whirlwind. But if you look at the OU tier, there's only one Mon that really runs a phasing move, and that is Tinglu, right? Tinglu runs Whirlwind. That's about it. It's so cool seeing Typhlosion here, even though it's obviously not going to stay OU, and Samurai as well. They're definitely not staying OU. They just got really slowly there. But not a lot of phasing moves in the tier. Eject Button Hatterene is also another one, but that's just so Hatterene can get out and help the team. There wasn't a lot of phasing in the tier, so these setup Mons basically could set up for free. And the big thing as well is that, yes, we have a plethora of unaware Mons in OU, right? We have Clodsire and we have Skeledirge, but unaware does not ignore booster energy because it's something to do with the ability. It's not like an actual stat. Whatever it is, it's very annoying because they don't show it on the in-game either, like the actual stat boost. But basically, if something like Iron Moth got a booster energy boost in special attack, which it always gets unless it's purposely running less special attack. That 1.3 special attack boost, because unless it's speed boost, it's 1.3. That 1.3 special attack boost is still applied. So it has the effect of Life Orb without taking the Life Orb damage. And if it runs Terra Blast, Ground, or Water, it deals with Skeledirge, right? Like it breaks through that type of thing. So like the unaware Mons aren't good answers for these booster energy Mons either. But these booster energy Mons aren't setting up for free if they don't have Shedtail. So that's just one thing. I still think the booster energy itself is something that might even be questionable. Is booster energy like a crazy item, like too much? But I digress. It's not about that. So those Mons got banned, or that thing Shedtail's banned now, and I want to know your thoughts on that. And let's get into how the Pokemon are going to fare after. So I'm going to be my honest thoughts. Cyclizar and Earthworm, they're not staying OU in my opinion. While I do think Rapid Spin and Hazard Control is very good in the OU tier, and I think that being able to have a fast Rapid Spin, because like, I mean, if you look at the actual OU tier right now, right, we have obviously the #1 Pokemon, Great Tusk, that can Rapid Spin. We also have Iron Treads that can Rapid Spin too, and then we have Glamora, which can Mortal Spin. Obviously, none of those can do that on Golden Go, and then we have Defog as well from Corviknight. Now, none of those can Rapid Spin or Mortal Spin on Golden Go. However, when your Iron Treads or Great Tusk, Golden Go has to worry about coming in because Knockoff or Earthquake. And then Glamora can always Earth Power if Golden Go is not a balloon. And then Defog Corviknight isn't something that can actually defog on Golden Go because of its good as gold ability. So having another Rapid Spinner that does threaten Golden Go with Knockoff and even potential Overheat, I think is pretty cool as well. And I do think that one set we might end up seeing on Cyclizar, and I do think this Pokemon is going to go to either UU or RU. I think UU is more likely than RU because it's a Gengar answer that's faster than it, that can Rapid Spin for free because of Regenerator, and it's an incredible Rapid Spinner because it'll beat, like even with an Assault Vest set, it'll beat like Brambleghast with Knockoff and Overheat type of thing. So I think it'll be a really, really good Rapid Spinner. Same thing, it can deal with Scizor as well. It could Terra Steel if he really wants to and just live a +2 Bullet Punch, even Terra Steel from the opponent and just Overheat back. So there are a lot of options like that. But I do think that if you want to try it out in the OU tier, you can definitely try Assault Vest with Terra Fairy. And the thing with this is that it allows you to beat Dragapult, right? The most common Ghost type right now in the tier. Obviously, they also have, at least when it comes to OU. So I think that this does have a lot of uses or a lot of potential. You don't have to run Jolly. You can run Timid as well, because even though you have 3 physical moves, 1 special move, all your physical moves, they're not meant to do damage. They're meant to either gain, like in the game itself, they're meant to gain, like to progress in the game, and they're also meant to, you know, annoy your opponent. They're just support moves, right? So Knockoff, getting rid of their item. Rapid Spin, getting rid of their hazards. U-Turn, getting out of there and bringing in a better Pokemon. And then you have Draco Meteor as a means of knocking out Dragapult in one hit. So that's kind of the idea behind what Assault Vest Cycles are. This is probably something you'll end up seeing. And I do think this might be the most common set that we see for the next few days. It's also a pretty good switch in to like Hisuian Zoroark and stuff like that. Terra Fairy doesn't have to be Terra Fairy. Terra Steel can work too to eat like a move from Excalibur. But Fairy also lives the Glaive Rush as well, and it's immune to it. But Fairy also is weak to like Golden Goes, Make It Rainbow, and Salt Vest you eat it anyway. And these hazards you don't have to necessarily have this EV spread. But I do think fast and HP is going to be the main thing when it comes to this Pokemon. Of course, it also has the option of Shift Gear now. Base 95 attack, Shift Gear isn't terrible. Let's go Adamant just for the overall damage, right? It's not terrible. You still have good speed. You get the +2 speed plus the attack. You can run Shed Skin, so you can set up on like status from like Toxapex is toxic, which will beat you anyway, no matter what. Not toxic, but Toxapex, even though most are Assault Vest as well. But that could potentially work. You do also do Regenerator for multiple times. And then your options are really interesting because you can for sure go, if you don't even want to go physical, you can do a Shift Gear mix with like Thunderbolt and Overheat, or you can go like Terra Blast. And your Terra Blast would be either Fire to deal with Corviknight, or like Electric to deal with Corviknight plus Toxapex. I think Electric might have a little bit more use. And then you can also do Fairy as well to hit something like Great Tusk, with your +1 attack. So those are like kind of options I feel like this Pokemon could run. Obviously, Ice Spinner is an option as well. Knockoff, like it has a ton of good support moves. It has a ton of good support moves. I think it's a solid support Pokemon. And also, but I just think that the OU tier is just too strong. Right? Too strong and too bulky for this Pokemon to put in work. However, when you look at UU and RU, and again, I think it'd be almost certainly UU. But when you look at UU, right, the power creep goes down a bit. But you have your Fast and Salamence threatening with Draco. You can threaten Quagsire with a Power Whip, right? And there's still very strong Pokemon here for sure. But the power level has gone down significantly. So it's not as crazy as it is currently in OU. So I do think that it'll be a nasty threat down there personally. And obviously it's going to last in this tier for a little while. It might be another, we won't see it go down, what is it, April 18th? Right, so happy birthday Chimpack, by the way. Can we get a bunch of happy birthday Chimpacks in the chat? The chat, I'm not screaming. So we might not see it go down until the end of May. So it would probably go down in June just because it's the end of the month and people are going to use it. And, new toy syndrome. I can finally use my old toy again, I guess. I don't know, your toy's back. It finally came back. So I do think they'll go down. Same thing with Earthworm. Earthworm not being able to do this, it will be a fantastic lower tier spiker. Why? Because when it eventually does fall down to UU, I don't think it has a place in OU besides setting up Shed Tailing, right? Like Spikes and Stealth Rock are fantastic, and being able to spin block a Great Tusk is amazing, but if I wanted a Pokemon that could do that, I'd Terra Ghost my Tinglu, and it's a lot more consistent. Like, because a lot of those run Rest as well, and Tinglu's just way harder to take down than Earthworm is. But when you look at UU, right, you can Spike, you can do this, you can Body Press the Bisharps and stuff. You literally wall Donphan. And you also threaten Espeon with a 2-hit KO at Heavy Slam, so it can't even come in and Magic Bounce you back. And you can even do the Iron Defense set, right? And this will let you beat Donphan 1v1. You don't have to run this. You'd run like Leftovers or a Resist Berry. And your Terra can be, if you want Ghost could work if you want to, but like you're a T-Tar wall. You deal with Grimmsnarl and dual screens. If you run Spadef EVs, you can deal with Sandy Shock. So I do think and you deal with Scizor. Right? Because if you run Terra Ghost, the dude's not going to hit you with close combat. So I do think it's going to be a positive influence. It's going to be great. And you sit in on Tinkaton. I think that's a big thing, right? Tinkaton is the #1 most used Pokemon. Steel types are incredible in this tier, right? Actually, Scizor is being suspected. I don't even know if Scizor is banned or not, but it might be really soon. But if it's not banned, it's just a good mon that can sit in it. And it's not broken because, you still have Talonflame that can sit in it too. Of course, you could run Rock Slide as a means of dealing with that. And you can run like some Rest Talk type of set too. But I think it'll be a very good UU Pokemon. I think both of them will be incredible UU Pokemon. And I think that lower tiers are desperately wanting things like Earthworm as well. And also Rapid Spin, right? Lower tiers definitely want Rapid Spin. Maybe not as much UU because UU has Brambleghast and Donphan and has good Defogger and Talonflame. One of the #1 Pokemon in the tier, right? I think it's #2. And you have like Noivern as well. They could do the same thing. But tiers like not RU specifically, but like NU and lower really need them. Now, do I think these Pokemon are ever going to fall down to NU? Hell no. However, I do think the introduction of these Pokemon in UU will cause certain Pokemon to fall off from UU, which will cause a trickle-down effect, and they'll go down to RU, and hopefully those RU Pokemon go down and bring a trickle-down effect as well, and NU maybe has a defogger that doesn't suck. But that's my thought process on these Pokemon. I do want to, I want you guys to let me know down below what you guys think as well. Please do subscribe, and also, if you want to use code AIM, feel free to pick up my Draco Shaker. Hundreds of people have already bought them. You're supporting me. It's from Advanced GG, of course. They're a caffeinated energy drink, so 18 plus if you buy anything else. But you can pick up my Draco Shaker, use code AIM, you save. But that's basically it. Nice little short video. Wanted to give my thoughts. I was more excited about these Pokemon, not necessarily in OU. I'm happy to have Cyclizar back, right? But more so, I want to use them in UU when that eventually happens. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.